welcome to the Jakarta Globe News channel. My name is Florence Armein and this is The Perspective. Today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, hospitality, and then some. And in the studio today we have Eduardo Ricaurte, the founder and CEO of Greenview Hospitality. Welcome to Berita Satu and welcome to Jakarta. I heard this is your first visit to the capital.
First visit to the capital, but hopefully not the last.
Has she been gentle or harsh? She can be very harsh to first timer.
No, very kind so far, all good. But I'm leaving today, and so I heard about some traffic Friday afternoons.
Yeah,
so
you want to anticipate that. Yeah. So, Eric, you were here to attend the Hospitality Investment Conference Indonesia in Jakarta for the second time. And what was your first impression?
My first impression is, well, there's a lot of interest, a lot going on in Indonesia for hotel development. So that was the first thing. It's not like a conference where they're putting it on and trying to stimulate discussion. There's a lot of discussion going, and they pretty much brought it together today, yesterday.
And you're based in Singapore, hospitality industry. You're just bound to, especially here in Southeast Asia, you're bound to meet the same people doing. It's not an industry where you familiarize yourself with a lot of people, the practitioners, developers, investors. Are you seeing anything new, anything different in this year's conference?
So I think, yes, of course, you see a lot of the usual suspects, a lot of the usual discussions, but every year there's always something new. There's always something going on, whether it's abroad, external factors, internal factors. So, I mean, we're definitely seeing more and more going on in the sector.
What was the main issue being addressed this time around?
Well, as always, for this, this investment world, it's, well, what's being built, what's the supply, how is it looking with the demand, is it slow, is it picking up, what are the opportunities? So that's pretty much the way the discussion goes all the time.
And what's the current mood from investors in Indonesia at the moment? I know under the new administration, investment is being revamped, and Indonesia is trying to improve its investment climate here in Indonesia, but particularly for the hospitality industry this year around.
So it's difficult for me to speak on what the investment's going on in actual terms. But what we do know is that the government's pushing for 10 new destinations, right? There are 10 new destinations, and the reaction from the industry is, okay, well, those are great potential destinations, but is the infrastructure there to enable the demand for going to those destinations? So really, that's the discussion around. It's not just promotion or focus areas. It's okay, collectively, there's a lot of things that need to be done in order to stimulate demand, in order to actually then look for supply to grow.
First, for infrastructure to be there before it be able to be developed into new tourism destinations.
Exactly.
And so, what are you here for? Greenview Hospitality. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. So our firm helps hotel companies and hotels work in the world of sustainability and social responsibility. So that's a very time-old topic and discussion that you've known for years. Normally connotated as something like ecotourism or something off in the beach
that's
or
the
jungle.
Now.
That's the way people think about it. Now we focus on it for a very different group and a very different audience. We talk about sustainability at a company level, on a strategy level, for investor discussions, for owner discussions, and for discussions about risk, opportunity, and strategy, rather than just doing good because it's the right thing to do.
Now you're based in Singapore. You've been in Southeast Asia for a while now, at least observing the market in Southeast Asia. How concerned and how aware are hotel investors and developers when it comes to ecosystem and sustainability within their business?
So I think that everybody's aware on a very basic level about some of the issues and about what's going on. What we're seeing is what we saw in North America and Europe, where we have the majority of our clients who are now expanding to Asia, which is basically that the topics around carbon, greenhouse gases, energy, water, waste, supply chain, procurement, and so forth, food and beverage, all those kind of things. They're not just niche topics that are sort of put to the side or only for those types of resorts off to the side. This is something now that every single hotel, every single company, every single business needs to deal with at some level. So what we're seeing is that as the structure for the industry grows in the region, you have a much more increased sophistication for owners, for companies, like even homegrown brands here in Indonesia and so forth. As they expand, as they grow, as they're set to do, then we turn this into a different discussion about, okay, now it's not just about that eco beach resort, it's how does the regulation, the risks for climate change and so forth, how do they affect my company and how am I approaching it across my portfolio? So I think that that's a discussion that's now coming to light, the fact that I get to speak and discuss this about how investors look at environmental, social, and governance risks and opportunities for their investments, that shows that there's now the platform to discuss this across the industry.
And just what's the hype with investors when it comes to investing in eco-friendly businesses or hospitality resorts and what have you?
Okay. Well, I think, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, so I think that it comes back to the flow of capital and where's the money coming from, where's it going. So if you have
do they see a lot of return there, investing in such business, especially in Indonesia, perhaps? I know you've just been here for a few days, but if you could just tell us in a nutshell, from your perspective, like how profitable is it for investors to jump into that?
Right. So I think that we can look at case by case, project by project, action by action, or the overall holistic discussion of sustainability and so forth. So first, on the overall discussion, what we're seeing now is that there are investors who are applying capital, right? And they're saying, look, if we're going to make an investment in any property, any hotel, any development, real estate, and so forth, we want to first know that the entity we're investing in, the project we're investing in, has carefully thought and come up with a strategy for how it's going to manage the issues relating to environmental and social performance. Yeah. So that's the first. And to say, well, if you're not even looking at this, you're not evaluating what you're doing to manage water, to manage energy, to manage your supply chain. You're not looking at the risks that you may face for certain places you're going to develop or certain materials you're going to use. So that's definitely coming for those who are looking for capital, whether it be looking for senior notes, mortgages, lenders, or equity partners that come from abroad. So that's a discussion that needs to be had. The second then is if you're actually investing in a property here. Now, as companies grow and so forth, you see that the amount of discussion of regulation. How are you disclosing this information? So the ROI on it, that's a piece of, okay, is there an ROI, is there not? That's a time-old discussion, but now it's more, what is the cost of doing business, and how can I get value out of this so I'm not just looking at it for compliance, but actually putting it into my strategy.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back after the short break.
Okay.